Welcome, everyone, and thank you so very much for joining me on another episode of Talking Cloud. Now, man, I'm so excited. You know, cloud is such a big word, and today, like always, we get to talk about anything and everything cloud. And, you know, we generally will have a little bit of a slant towards security, but it's anything and everything cloud. Cloud's so big right now, it's taken over the world, and it's just, there's lots and lots to talk about. Now, listen, you all know I'm no expert, but one of the things that is the benefit of being in the biz for a while is I know a lot of them. And man, I've got one today that is what a way to bring home the year. We're going to have an outstanding session today because not only have I known this gentleman for, I don't know, I guess I could say it, 20 years. We worked together 20 years ago. I don't know him that well because we haven't worked closely together. So I am super excited about hearing about what he's up to because we're going to get a chance to talk to the director of product management and marketing for Azure Security. That's right. Adwait Joshi, we're going to call him AJ, is my guest today. I'm so thrilled to have him. AJ, thank you so much for being on the program.
Well, thank you, Grant. The pleasure is all mine. I'm really excited to be here. And what a journey that has been. You were right. 20 years ago, we worked together, and it has been an awesome ride since then.
You know, I have to tell you, and I was thinking about this before we got on the program. I was thinking, you know, not to sound goofy or anything, but when I see people, you know, and there's several I've had on the program that I've known for 20 years. And I remember working with them when they're younger, and then to watch how their careers have evolved. I can use the word proud to say you're my friend and what you've accomplished. It's really impressive. So I mean that from my heart, man. I think it's awesome what you're doing. So why don't you take a second and tell us what you're up to, man? Cloud's a big word. You say Azure Security, that's also huge. Narrow it down for us a little bit.
Absolutely, would love to. But before I do that, I do want to acknowledge that 20 years ago, when I joined Checkpoint, where we worked together, I was so green looking back that I'm thankful and feel really blessed to have colleagues like you who were patient and who were helpful for me to take this journey. And that journey has led me to this awesome, unique experience in Microsoft, where I get to do product management and product marketing and business strategy on cloud security. So thank you. Thanks again, Grant.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. I think, like I said, it's pretty cool. So there's so much going on in cloud and security. I mean, where do you start? Narrow it down a little bit on really kind of where you're focused and talk about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and we'll just kind of see where the conversation goes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I, as you mentioned, work on product management, strategy, business strategy, go-to-market strategy, and product marketing for cloud security products in Microsoft. Of course, we have a very unique perspective and experience as working on a cloud platform. Microsoft is a cloud platform provider, leading cloud platform provider.
Sure.
And of course, so we want to make sure that that platform is foundationally secure, and I work on that business strategy as well as product marketing for that. And I also work on security solutions that are natively hosted in the cloud, and we are providing them to our customers. And I, again, do the same thing: business strategy, product marketing, GTM strategies for those products. One of them we announced last year, and I'm now focused on, is helping our customers modernize their security operations. And we are doing that. So last year we announced this reimagined product for security information and event management. Everybody knows the SIEM. It's been in the market for a long time.
Yeah.
But the way we are reimagining it is with the cloud native approach. Like, how can cloud help our customers modernize their security operations? So that has been my focus. That has been my passion for the last 18 months.
Wow.
And I'm glad to say that that journey has been really rewarding, to just see how our customers and our peers are getting helped in this modernization journey of theirs.
Okay, AJ, modernization is a really broad kind of brush. Can you get a little more detailed on what specifically? I mean, I'm suspecting it has to do with using some automation, using some auto remediation, building in more intelligence, but maybe you can expand on that.
Yeah, all of that. But let me broaden the scope here. Security operations today, and these security operations folks have been going through this whole pain points of having multiple solutions and SIEM solutions that you and I have been seeing this for the last 20 years, that SIEM solutions not working really well and not getting deployed fully.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of these pain points. Security folks not doing security things, but having to manage infrastructure, having to think about spending time of patching and thinking and planning on how am I going to scale my infrastructure to the new and evolving needs. For example, with COVID-19 situation, literally overnight people had to focus on empowering remote workers, right?
Yep.
And so that definitely had a big demand on security folks to make sure that they are addressing those new needs and making sure that they are staying in front of these new parameters and new attacks. So how do we make sure that all the tools that you mentioned, all the things you mentioned, like automation or like auto remediation, efficiencies, how are we helping security operations to get to that level where they are modernizing not just their infrastructure, but they are modernizing their outlook to gain efficiencies and improve their security. So that's my focus. That's our focus on designing such solutions, designing approaches, and helping our customers achieve that modernization, achieve that security transformation.
Yeah, that's a tall order, AJ. I mean, that's a tall order. There's a lot to tackle. Now, you talk about a SIEM. One of the things in the cloud, right, is the traditional SIEM doesn't have context that you need to have in the cloud, right? I mean, this is one of the things I talk about with people. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, because in the old days, back when you and I worked together years ago, the first question was, what's the IP address, no matter what? And now when we get into the cloud, I mean, it might not really matter. A function might have used it for a split second, right? And so there's some additional context and understanding in the data that sometimes is missing, or oftentimes is missing, it seems, in a traditional SIEM. Is that accurate?
It is very accurate. I think when you think of traditional SIEM and compare it to now the cloud native approach that Microsoft has pioneered, I think you think of first is scalability and flexibility. That security folks are now empowered to do security things. We are, every week I have the privilege to talk to security teams and CISOs in our briefing centers. And, key things that they mention is that our security teams need to focus on security. So how do you do that? Right? With cloud native approach, you don't need to think of infrastructure management. You don't need to manage the complexity of all of that. You just, migrate to cloud and let the cloud scale, let the infrastructure be handled by the cloud provider, by the service provider.
Right.
And it automatically scales for your needs. And the plus point there is additional benefit is that it also gives you a lot of cost savings. You can only pay for what you are using. And so that, again, is another additional benefit you get.
Mm-hmm.
Then comes to your point about additional context. Like, how do you improve security? Now, with cloud, because you have all of this machine learning at scale that you can use, and with other technologies that are getting under the umbrella of SIEM. So, for example, user and entity behavior analytics,
Mm-hmm.
or more and more, not just Microsoft, but more and more vendors are now also implementing standard frameworks like MITRE ATT&CK framework.
Right.
All of that provides you with more context, not just static IP addresses and just raw logs, and you dump those logs. It is smarter by using all of these technologies and all of these capabilities I talked about. Now, I know that when we talk about machine learning, there is a lot of bad rap because a lot of people think it's marketing fluff, and is it real? And to a certain extent, I can see that point of view. But I'm telling you here that this is real, and this can be really, really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Few months ago, we published a blog. One of our security engineers shared how Microsoft internally helped understand or filter down from billions and billions of signals. We filtered it down using machine learning, using Azure Sentinel, and provided 25 high fidelity incidents. Like, imagine that, like from billions to 25 high fidelity incidents. And this is real. This is, as I said, we blogged about it. So anybody who's interested, who's listening to this blog, to this podcast, can go and read that blog, given all the details.
From billions down to 25.
Correct. And that 25 are high fidelity incidents, which we are fairly certain that these are the incidents that security analysts should pay attention to. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine the empowerment that they get, the efficiencies that they can get from this type of technology. Yeah. And so, as I said, machine learning is real, and I do advise CISOs and our security folks to really understand and then also use it as much as possible. And then I was going to finish it off with automation, because automation is huge too. With automation, you're making sure that you not only are quickly responding, but also, again, that theme of empowering your security folks, at least automate and make sure that your regular tasks are at least automated, so the security folks can focus on more of proactive security operations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's, I think, a really important word, because so often in the world of security, right, we're reacting to things, and to be able to shift to being proactive, that just changes the game and really is where we need to try to get, right? So that we're not always responding and reacting.
Totally. And proactive obviously has a lot of different meanings to it. One of the things people should think about is proactive security operations. How are you staying ahead? How are you outthinking the attackers out there? Mm-hmm. And you can do that with, proactive hunting. There are multiple products. Of course, Azure Sentinel has hunting capabilities as well. But from a people perspective, like, we want to make sure that you have all the tools you need. And that's why all of this efficiency that I was talking about earlier, mm-hmm. with machine learning, with automation, and, obviously gives you more time, gives you that efficiency and more time for security folks to think proactively and do hunting and, figure out more of a strategy.
Yep.
And it also, when I talk about machine learning and efficiencies, people then ask me question, and it's an important question to address about, hey, are you saying that you are eliminating people's jobs? That's not the idea here. In fact, this is more about empowering the existing people. What we see is that people like us, there are far and few in between. The security jobs, one of the reports I was reading earlier was that by the end of 2021, there will be 3.1 million jobs, security jobs, unfulfilled. Imagine that. So there are a lot of jobs available, and we need to, in fact, there are lack of security experts. So those experts that we have, we need to help them. And that's the idea of using all these automation and efficiencies to modernize your security operations.
The gap is huge. It's getting bigger. The demand outstrips what's getting produced annually out of the trade schools and universities. It's a big problem. We've all heard the stat from Gartner, right? At least 99% of all cloud failures are going to be the customer's fault. I think it highlights the misunderstanding, the confusion in the shared responsibility model, and how, when we see cloud macchiatos, right, at Starbucks, and we see commercials from mattress stores saying, come on in and get your own private cloud. Clearly the word cloud has seeped into our vernacular, but it's misunderstood. So my question is, do you think that's a fair rap? And does it have negative, or is it having negative consequences for the likes of Azure, even though it's the customer's fault? I'm just curious, how are you going about saying, hey, listen, we're going to keep you from messing up? And I know there's lots of tools out there. I guess I'm talking more specifically from AJ's perspective on the consequences of this kind of coverage from the analyst community.
Yeah, that's a good question. And let me step back and provide you with a broader picture here on cloud platform and security. And again, as I mentioned, I'm really privileged to sit on this unique perspective, thinking about cloud platform provider and also thinking about it as a security provider.
Yeah, both inside and outside, right? I thought that was very interesting. I wanted to mention that earlier. I think that's a very smart move from Microsoft's standpoint, at least in my opinion, because you're not then competing against yourself. You're finding ways to be more congruent and work with yourself, and you're looking at it from a real-world perspective. I think that's really brilliant.
Yeah, and on top of that, the amount of investment we have in security, an amount of expertise that we have, we are happy to share it with our customers.
Yeah.
And so that really helps and makes a win-win situation for Microsoft as well as for our customers and even our partners.
Yeah, and the influence you have, right? Obviously, if you see something, right, you see where you can thread the needle internally and then can say, hey, guys, we could package this way, and now, voila, you've got something that you can offer to your customers as well. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. So let me give you this example that, as you mentioned, cloud is everywhere, and organizations are migrating to the cloud. It used to be a time where security was a blocker, but in fact, now security is becoming an enabler.
Yeah.
So the awareness is changing. The shared responsibility understanding is also changing and improving. Mm-hmm. So that's a good sign. And people come to realize, like many times when I share these numbers that I'm going to share with you, people are blown away. And I always joke with CISOs and with all the security teams that Microsoft is probably one of the biggest security companies that you have never heard of.
That's right.
When they look at me, weirdly, I say, okay, let me give you some numbers. Do you know Microsoft invests more than $1 billion every year on security? We have 3,500 folks working on security inside Microsoft. Mm-hmm. And the amount of data, the signals that we analyze, not just for our security products. I'm not talking about security products, just internally, running Azure, running Office 365 and Microsoft 365, running Xbox and Windows Server and Windows client, all of those things together, all of those assets together. We have last published 6.5 trillion signals analyzed every day, diverse signals, right?
Wow.
So imagine the threat intelligence that we can provide and share with our customers. And then we have, dedicated security operations teams across different organizations, and we run those at scale. And when we consolidate all of that information together and share it with customers, it's really powerful. And that's where people realize that if we move to a cloud platform provider like Azure, then, foundationally, they can perhaps provide better security than I can in my data center.
No question. I say that all the time, AJ. I mean, when I'm out speaking, I tell everyone, listen, if you think for 1 second that you can build and maintain a better data center than Microsoft, you're out of your mind. I mean, it's just not, there's no way. There's no way. So it's one of the misunderstandings, I think, in this world of they're afraid of security in the cloud. But I do agree with you. It really is being seen more and more as an enabler as it gets tightened down, right? I mean, I think the tolerances need to be narrowed. The tools are helping us do that because that's where the danger is, because things are different now when I build an app with some storage and a relational database over here and maybe, a few of these microservices. And that's far different than the old days of building applications in my data center.
No doubt. But I do want to come back to your specific question on what happens when, breaches occur, and does that give bad rap to cloud platform providers?
Yep.
Well, I mean, that, of course, there is shared responsibility. Of course, we are working on, raising more awareness. And that's, again, a team sport. It's not like, it's Microsoft. Everybody is responsible to raise that awareness. We are doing our bit through community and through our customers and partners.
Yep.
And ultimately, none of the platforms will be, 100% secure that, you cannot breach. So it, again, comes back to making sure that you're raising awareness, making sure that as cloud platform provider, we want to make sure that we are empowering our customers and providing them with tools and integrations with our partners so that they can get full spectrum of security.
Yep.
On either, natively in the cloud platform, so that they can check a box and have a firewall, or check a box and have encryption. Or they can also have some good integrated scenarios with our partners like Checkpoint, like other companies, so that they can use their own solutions too, right?
Yep.
And that's where we want to make sure that our customers are empowered. The foundational piece, Microsoft is taking care of through multi-layered security, going from literally physical security in the data centers to all the way up to making sure that your service layer and your network layer are protected for the platform. And then as our customers build their workloads, migrate their workloads, we want to make sure that these workloads and these customers have the tools they need to secure them.
Yep. Well, one of the things that I have to say, I've really been impressed with Satya and his leadership and where he's taken the company. It's been remarkable. And what he's done, his view, his approach on partnerships and alliances, I think has really been remarkable. He's done a fantastic job. I know our partnership, Checkpoint with Microsoft, I don't think it's ever been better from a certainly cloud security perspective.
Yeah, the partnership is really, really important to us. I daily work with multiple different partners, including Checkpoint, making sure that we have some good integration, good together scenarios that are addressing our customer concerns.
Yeah,
one of the things, Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, clearly, I understand. We know we're not your only security partner. You're partnering with them all. But I actually think it's a transformation for Microsoft, the way you are so much more open, better together with your partners, as opposed to how maybe I remember them a decade or so ago. So I've been impressed with how Microsoft, and in particular the whole Azure cloud strategy, has rolled out. I think you guys have really done well. So anyway, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, thank you. But that tees up my next point that I was going to make, and that is about partners. Extremely important. We are making sure that we're investing in our partner success as well, helping our customers in their journey towards the cloud. And one of the trends that we see is that many customers have multi-cloud or hybrid environments. And so our focus has been to address those multi-cloud scenarios and concerns. So you will see many of these integrations that Microsoft has with Checkpoint, or even our internal solutions. Obviously, Azure Sentinel is a SIEM, so by definition, it works across different clouds,
right,
and gets data from on-premises data center as well to give you security insights. But even with solutions like Azure Security Center, which is cloud security posture management,
yep,
with integrations that we have with Checkpoint and our multi-cloud capabilities, where you can also have, visibility into your AWS infrastructure, for example, in VMs. That focus really, I want to highlight, because as you mentioned, we are definitely helping our customers, transform their journey to the cloud, and while doing so, making sure that they are secure regardless of where they are. Right, that's our focus from a security mindset.
Yeah, and again, that what you just described, AJ, is not what most people think of when they think of Microsoft. And I think that really needs to be called out and recognized as a compliment to you, and recognize that's a real benefit.
Absolutely. And I'm thankful for you bringing this up, because it definitely, if you look at our portfolio going from Microsoft 365 Defender to Azure Defender, you will see that you have XDR capabilities for different platforms, not just Windows, but Linux and Mac and iOS, and different types of VMs, and AWS and Google and Azure. So all of that multi-cloud, multi-platform will be our focus even going forward, and you'll see that including the partnerships that we have with partners like Checkpoint.
Yep.
You'll see that happening more and more in the coming year.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think that's a smart move. So I want to move on to one of the things, AJ, that I talk about is how similar yet how different the cloud is versus on-premise, but then also how similar but yet how different one cloud provider might be to the next. And I'll always throw out an example. I'll say, they're climbing and trying to summit the same mountain, but they're taking different paths because there are different components that give them different advantages depending on how they use them. And I always bring up Active Directory as an example that other cloud providers don't have. You do have. Maybe you can take a minute about how Active Directory has evolved and continues to play a critical role in your cloud position today.
Yeah, Active Directory is obviously the leading identity solution out there. And it's to the theme that I was talking about earlier, across platforms. It really helps our customers, regardless of whether they are on-prem, whether they are in Azure, or whether they are in other cloud platforms. That's the identity solution that helps them scale across all of those. And security is a huge piece of it. Huge. Mm-hmm. In the last few years, security, if you look at the capabilities that Azure Active Directory has shared and evolved with, it's awesome to see. awesome to see. Right from passwordless to actually providing more of user behavior analytics and entity behavior analytics using Active Directory, helping understand insider threats. It's all of those things that are given as part of Azure Active Directory, makes it a more robust identity solution that is scalable. It is hosted obviously in the cloud, built on Azure, and can scale across multiple platforms.
Yeah, brilliant. So I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're busy and important guy, but maybe as we get ready to close out, maybe you can take a few minutes and talk about what should we expect? What are we going to see AJ working on in the next 12 months?
Yeah, I will continue to work on modernization of security operations, as I mentioned. And particularly, I'm working on helping our customers migrate their existing security operations to the cloud. And so all the things I mentioned before, we will be focusing on that and helping our customer journey in the cloud. Now, that said, from product strategy perspective, we obviously are working on more partnerships, building, helping our partners to build connectors and helping our customers simplify the data ingestion into Azure Sentinel so that, they can consolidate multiple solutions into one solution and have smaller number of security solutions in their security operations and get broader visibility. So that's what we will do. The second one is improving their efficiency and security. So again, using machine learning, using automation, how can we help them get more out of a smaller team? That will be our focus. And lastly, I firmly believe that security is a team sport. And so my focus is also to help the community. How can we help the community? Not just, shilling Microsoft products, but genuinely foster a security community, help each other. And so we have some things like GitHub or a tech community, or we have a partner community as well. We call it Microsoft Intelligent Security Association. Checkpoint is a big part of that. And so how can we foster that community? That also is a big focus for me.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. I think it's very evident those efforts are underway, AJ, because I know, again, I speak just from the partnership and alliance that we've strengthened with you, and we appreciate it. And I applaud your efforts and all the stuff you're doing. I think it's terrific. And I really want to thank you very much for taking your time out of your busy schedule to chat with us today. So thanks so very much.
Well, thank you so much. I'm honored, privileged to be here. Enjoyed talking to you again. It was awesome to being with friends, talking about our mutual passion, cybersecurity. So thank you again. I hope this was helpful. And as I mentioned, if your listeners need any help or if they have any questions, I would love to help them out.
Terrific. So you heard it right there from AJ. Microsoft standing by, ready to help you. I really appreciate your time. Interesting stuff. It's cool to see how this industry continues to evolve. And what's even cooler is being in it for a long time, knowing people like you and the other guests that I've had. It's just been really terrific journey. And so thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for sharing this time with us. Hope you enjoyed today's episode of Talking Cloud. And, we sure hope to have you share it and tell all your friends if you're enjoying it. And we'll look forward to seeing you back on another episode of Talking Cloud. Thanks very much. Yeah.